Welcome to another edition of Dino Under the Bonnet. Welcome. Before I begin, I would like to tell you about a lovely message that I received from Carlos. Apparently, Under the Bonnet with Dino reached number 33 in the automotive podcast rankings in Denmark. Fantastic. I have absolutely no idea. It has been checked and verified. So thank you, Carlos, and for taking the trouble in sending your email. And thank you to everybody listening in Denmark. I truly am honoured. It's extraordinary to think that these stories are reaching people so far away. I know I've got an audience in Canada. I know I've got an audience in America. All over the world. But it's so wonderful to, just receive something like that. It really tickled me. Today, I want to talk about one of the famous cars ever made. It's an Aston Martin DB5. It isn't about simply what it's worth. This is the genuine story of what it's really like to own, drive, and live with one. Let me take you right back. And there's one person that has influenced me and is still influencing me on my journey through, I hate that word, journey. I tried to think of another word. But my wife, Amanda, was the person who got me into DB5s. And, well, classic cars, in fact. I knew nothing about a classic car, nothing at all. And this is going back now about 30 years. And Amanda was the pivotal person in this whole saga, this whole adventure. Look, I've always loved cars, but the passion has always been there. I knew very little, and perhaps I still do know very little about cars, but I've got a lot of knowledge over the years. And I think sometimes it still has to pinch me owning a DB5. You learn so much and you're thrown into the deep end. So let's wind the clock back 30 years. And Amanda said, you must have a classic car. Oh, I wasn't into this really. But she persuaded me. And I met some wonderful craftsmen at that time, and who later became friends of mine. And I would not have built the collection that I have of Astons and Jags if it wasn't for them. It's like a collision of everything coming at the right time. And Classic Car Lab may never have existed if it wasn't for them, or primarily if it wasn't for Amanda. And I wouldn't be sitting here making this podcast and talking to you. So Amanda was the starting point in all of this. She changed my direction in life, although it never was to be a source of income. And it was just about the love of cars. So the story begins. My first car. DB5 about 30 years ago, and yes, it was silver, but it had no bumpers. It was my first classic car. I had passion, enthusiasm, and probably a great deal of misplaced confidence. Did I understand why buying it? No, it looked nice. I, at the time, was not auto-minded. Perhaps I just changed my first wheel not so long ago. Well, I looked at really somebody changing it. Anyway, I digress. Why did I buy it? I was drawn to the shape. It wasn't an investment, and it just looked beautiful. It really did. And so many people asked me, were there any problems with it? Yes, just about everything. Bodywork, mechanics, electrics, interior, and probably anything else that you could imagine went wrong. It became my education in classic cars. Now, the reason why, just briefly, why Classic Car Lab started was because I got upset with somebody who I went to the garage and said, look, can you service the Aston, or can you fix this? And they gave me the bill. Whoa. I've never gone into four figures at that time for a service. I thought, what the hell? I know. I'll start my own garage up. And I have it just for me. Somebody walked in and blah, blah, blah. And then it all started. But it certainly was not planned. This is all coincidence. Reactions of people vary. But my father's was the best. I drove it to see him in the car. Obviously, it was a traumatic experience, as it always is for me driving any classic car. I can't really drive now, so but that's another story for another podcast. I took it to my father. I was enormously proud. Got my father outside, and I expected him to appreciate what a special car it was. I showed him around with full excitement, and he looked at it and he said, "Oh, it's second-hand." Oh, if there's anything that ever brings you down to earth, it was that thing. There was no coming back after that. I so tried to say, look, James Bond drew one. He probably did. Drove one. But he saw it as old, noisy, rather uncomfortable, and most importantly, a second-hand car. He didn't like the smell, the smell of petrol. You could smell it coming right through the cabin. The noise was deafening, and it was spitting away on the carburetors, and somebody described it as a Spitfire coming through the village. There's no power steering, the seats weren't particularly comfortable, the mirrors were so poor, let alone you could hardly see out of them because of the glass. Yes, I know you can get new glass, but the vibrations went right through me or anybody that was sitting there. And I simply just sat with them saying, "Isn't this wonderful?" And to take them, this is true, to take them off the whole fiasco of any journey that I ever did. And I'd take loads of people out and just say, "Oh, come and have a look at this." And I drive quickly. Now, I say quickly because I don't drive fast, and quickly is about as fast as you can get for me. And it did seem like 100 miles an hour at the time. So what is it like actually to drive? Not very nice, actually. Most people imagine that driving a DB5 must be glamorous. The first thing that upsets most people is that, oh, it's him. Surely he can't own a DB5. And yeah, it's me. It's just silly on me owning it, and usually in a pair of shorts and not looking James Bondy at all. If there was a look, which was it is in the beautiful suit. You think that there'd be beautiful roads to drive on. Yes, there are a few, but in the main, you go down a pothole. The whole car shudders. It's really tight. And it's in reality, it's a lot more complicated because it's noisy, it smells, the steering is so heavy, the mirrors are rubbish, and you see the bullet mirrors on the front. Oh, yeah, I defy anybody who can see anything from them because they're firstly so far away, you can't actually see what's going on behind you. And then because the whole car vibrates, and it isn't because the car is rubbish, it's just, it's not an easy car. It can also be very dangerous. Yeah, I'll come to that in a second. And it's not about the value. The car demands respect. It demands respect of how beautiful it is, how the curves flow, what it smells like inside when you sit down and you can feel the crunch of the leather. Just lovely. See, I made that noise for you. And why is it frightening? Well, the day that it caught fire, it was a frightening experience. It boils down to that there was no black box. It's not a flight recorder, but the bits of, or shall I say, the exuberation of pressing the pedal, the accelerator pedal to get it going, caused lots of petrol to spill out. There was no black box to catch it in, so it dripped on and burnt away. So I can smell this, and even to this day, I can. It's like yesterday. The car was in the drive, and the petrol went onto the hot exhaust manifolds, and that's it. Boom! Up it went. At first saw some bubbling of the paint, and I thought, that doesn't look very good. And what did I do? Well, I went straight in to talk to my wife at Haste. And I remember she was at the sink, and I said, "What shall I do? The Aston's on fire." She looked at me and said calmly, "Get a bucket of sand." What? Where am I going to get a bucket of sand? We don't live in the 1940s. And what I did was I opened the bonnet up, and the first thing that I did, and of course it goes the other way. You lift the bonnet up the other way, so great access into there. And I just got the hose pipe and put it out. I phoned the garage up who sold me and said, "Don't worry, just get in it and start it." And that was it. Although there was an awful lot of damage, it almost wrecked the car. It just bubbled away, and it needed a whole new bonnet. It was quite upsetting, and after that, I was always quite dangerous. Despite everything, it still is one of the most beautiful cars ever made. The photographs don't capture it really until you stand beside one and you run your hand along the front of the bonnet, and you can feel the beautiful curves of the wing, and that's all in one piece, and it's tapped out by the English wheel, and that's the thing that I was most impressed about. The beauty of it. You can feel, you can go over it, and that's what makes it special for me. It's sculpture. And the craftsmanship is extraordinary, but, well, it taught me to appreciate cars and the people who made them, And it wasn't simply a badge and say, oh, look, I've got an Aston. To me, it doesn't matter. It started my collection with Aston Martins, and it taught me many things. One is that you meet different customers and different people who have different collections, and you know what? You just are somebody. The race is only with yourself, not with anybody else, because I can tell you there will always be somebody faster, better looking, got more cars, more money. Unless you're Elon Musk, I guess. But look, I don't think he has an Aston. But my journey, and especially with my DB5, introduced me to people who have changed my life. I'm obviously not going to say their second names, and they know who they are. Ashley worked on the welding in those very early days, and he would come to my house to do a bit of welding, and then go away. I would ask questions, learn more about things that were made, repaired, understood how they all got together. Dom became one of the most important people in my education. He is remarkably talented technician. He could also repair upholstery. He knew everything about it. He knew about colony leather. He took me on an adventure. Well, we both went on an adventure, and these podcasts will describe many of the adventures that we've been on. But he taught me everything about cars, and the odd things which I'll later come on to, that you really will not imagine what I'm going to tell you. And then finally, there was the painter Stuart, who made the car come alive. Now, I used to think, come on, all you have to do is sand it a bit, and you can throw some paint on, and there you would be. There, it's finished. The car's finished. No, it takes hours and hours and hours to do sanding, flatting, or days, months perhaps, just to get that right line. And that's the beauty of these cars for me. The engine is very, it's a masterpiece, yes, and it looks beautiful, as you can see on many of the website pictures that we have at Classic Car Lab. But it's all about the people that you meet and the strange stories that go with them, unbelievably things that don't make any sense. For instance, there's no way I'm going to mention his name, not a chance, but he sold Rolls-Royce and Bentleys, and he began in the late 1940s, 50s, and what he would do, he would photograph one that was at somebody's house without them knowing, put it in the newspaper, find an interested buyer, and then go to that person's house, knock on the door and say, look, I sell Rolls Royces and Bentleys. I think I have a buyer for your car. You're interested in selling it? Genius, completely illegal in every single manner. And that was it. Deal was done. The business model was simple, no stock. Great idea. And I hasten to add, this is against the law and it should not be done. He did get caught out, however, when he described one of his cars as concourse. The buyer strongly disagreed because he took it to a show and he said, this car is concourse. The judge said, no, it's not. So he took it back. Oh, I nearly said his name then. That could have been disastrous. And said, I want my money back. It's not a concourse car. They went to court and the judge said, no, you have to take it back. And also as a penalty, we will award the buyer of the car a few £1,000s, I did believe. So be very careful if somebody says this is a concourse car. We actually never do concourse cars for that very reason, because it's a dangerous area to get into. You have to be very careful on how you describe anything that is concourse. Concourse basically means that you don't use it and it looks like it came out of the factory. So it should stay in a museum. If it's used, the points award system will be marked against you. So, continuing this story with this gentleman, he lived in rather unusual, and this is all brought about from cars, and the reason why because after I'd bought a few cars, I needed somewhere close by me, and he had secure barns, allegedly, and I had a little workshop up there, and where I could learn and see what Don, Ashley, and Stuart were doing to my car, and see them work on other people's cars, and yeah, it was very interesting. But the gentleman who owned it was rather mean, probably is still rather mean, and he rented out the main house, which he was in, and decided to live in a barn, which was, there's no toilet. So what would happen is that he would shoot down the road, and we'd moved out of the premises then, and we moved down to just outside Harrogate. And he used to come in on the morning, always at 9 o'clock, and say, oh, I'm just passing by, I'll just use your toilet. Is that all right? No, he wouldn't say that, is that all right? And go in there. And the smell and the stink and the... Okay, once, twice, but every day? I don't think so. So what I did eventually was put out of order sign on the door before 9 o'clock. So that was the only way we could stop him. And then he went down to the Shell petrol station, and they too decided to do that. So, was the DB5 a good investment? Well, 30 years ago, a DB5 was an exceptionally good purchase. I got it for not a lot. I shan't say, but I got it for not a lot of money. I was at the right place at the right time, only because of Amanda. And then the prices rose, extraordinary. Some reached the £1 million level, but now the market's softened significantly, and you're looking 500,000 or 600,000 for a good one. Well, you know, classic cars go up and down in price, and at the moment, I think they've actually stabilised. Originality matters, condition matters, restoration quality matters, and please ensure that everything is documented so that you can pass it on. If that's my one word of advice, that will be it. And a good badge, Ferrari, Bentley, Aston, some Jaguars. I'm not a fan of Jaguars, you know. I have had some, and I think it's down to John Prescott having two Jags at that era. And I've never really liked him. I do like John Prescott, or did. He's passed away. May he rest in peace. And not my favourite, but the other three, and obviously you Bugattis, but then you're going into real serious multi-million-pound cars. Many people ask me, the barn find myth. The idea of discovering a DB5. Yeah, 20, 30 years ago, yeah, you could find one dusty and forgotten. And as my dad said, it's a second-hand car. And classic cars really were unloved, untouched. Then severe corrosion, seized mechanical parts, missing components, rodent damage. The list goes on and on and on and on. And the fact is that can you find one now? I've not come across one. I know where there are a couple, but would they sell? No. And they're right not to sell. They're at this moment. Market's funny, but they're sixes, and they don't command as much as they did. But it's the myth of buying. I never understand this, and I still don't understand it now. So you buy a barn find, you restore it, then it loses money because that's the normal way it goes. It's very difficult to actually make money on a classic car now. You can do. You've got to pick it up cheap. I would always impress the people. Buy a mediocre one and make it good, and that way you're actually adding value to it. People go crazy at the auctions for these barn finds, and if they remain as barn finds, I get it. But when you restore them, and the numbers do not add up. You're looking at 2,500 hours, maybe 400,000-500,000 pounds plus to make an Aston, to redo everything, not make one. And then, of course, you've got a donor car, and then the numbers just do not make sense. So, well, the DB5, living with it is beautiful. It's noisy, smelly, heavy, and occasionally very frightening. Oh, I forgot to tell you, the only way to drive it is to have a drink first, because it calms your nerves. I don't advise having lots of drink. I must say, you've got to be really careful here. Financially, it's very dangerous, and if you buy badly, if you buy well, great, fantastic, come and see us. But it's a magnificent piece of engineering and craftsmanship. Would I buy one today purely as an investment? Probably not. Because everybody knows the prices, what they are, what they're going for. The internet is this fantastic knowledge. But it is and will be one of the most beautiful cars in my life. And none of this would have happened without Amanda. Although my father still might have the last word. It's a second-hand car. So, Dino's deal of the week. I finally come to that little beauty. And it is, I know this is going to sound odd, but I can see it that summer holidays, and if you've got children age 5 to 15, you can travel free on local bus services. So if you're in the town and you don't know what to do, it's all free. Check the government website. I'm going to put it at the end of this. And it's fantastic. Just log on, say that I sent you. No, don't say that. No, you can do it. It's fine. But it's thanks to Mr. Burnham. Thank you very much, sir. I think it's wonderful. Wonderful idea. I really do. And it can make a difference. It's a proper money-saving deal. I love it. So my last words. If you've enjoyed this podcast, especially if you're in Denmark, thank you again. Thank you, Carlos. please press subscribe. And I'll talk more nonsense next week with lots of irrelevant information about wonderful deals, wonderful adventures, and how my life has changed and is constantly evolving. It may not be an Aston Martin, but the price is very difficult to beat. 3. Dino's Deal of the Week. I hope you've enjoyed listening to this, and thank you again. I very much appreciate it. Thank you.